Did you know that mass deportations are sweeping across the US, sending shockwaves through entire communities? 10 states are at the center of this immigration crackdown, and the impact is massive. Farms are losing workers, construction sites are slowing down, and businesses are scrambling to adjust. What does this mean for the economy? How are local governments reacting? And most importantly, is your state on this list? Stay with me as we break down the 10 states most affected and reveal the real consequences of these deportations. This isn't just about policies, it's about real people, real businesses, and the future of entire industries. Let's get started. 1. California. California has long been a hotspot for immigration, with nearly 2 million undocumented residents, the highest in the country. This diverse state is home to bustling cities, massive agricultural fields, and industries deeply tied to immigrant labor. But now, California is feeling the full force of this crackdown. For years, it has been known as a sanctuary state, offering protections to undocumented immigrants. However, federal enforcement is ramping up. According to BBC, ICE raids have surged by 30%, even in places once considered safe. Families, workers, and even students are being caught in the crossfire. And the economy? It's taking a hit. Nearly half of California's farm workers are undocumented, producing $50 billion in crops annually. With mass deportations, farms are struggling to keep up. Protests are growing, lawsuits are piling up, and tensions between local and federal authorities are reaching new heights. 2. Texas. If there's one state where immigration is always in the spotlight, it's Texas. With a 1,254-mile border with Mexico, this state is a major entry point for immigrants. Cato Institute noted that around 2 million undocumented people live here, contributing to vital industries like agriculture, construction, and hospitality. But ICE is cracking down hard, not just at the border, but in cities like Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio. Worksite raids are happening more frequently, and families are being separated. Fear is spreading fast, with many undocumented workers choosing to leave rather than risk arrest. The economic consequences are clear. Texas has the highest number of migrant workers in the US, and the industries rely on them to function. In 2018 alone, more than 100,000 people were deported from Texas, and the numbers have only risen since then. With a shrinking workforce, businesses are bracing for more disruptions. 3. Florida. Florida's economy thrives on tourism, agriculture, and construction, 3 industries heavily dependent on immigrant labor. As highlighted by the American Immigration Council, 21% of the state's population is foreign-born, and many undocumented workers play a crucial role in keeping things running. But ICE operations are creating chaos. Florida's agricultural sector, which produces crops like citrus, sugarcane, and tomatoes, is facing a labor shortage. 90% of farm workers in Florida are undocumented, and without them, production is slowing. In 2018, some areas saw a 10% drop in agricultural output simply because there weren't enough workers. The construction industry isn't faring any better. Major cities like Miami, Orlando, and Tampa are experiencing worker shortages, delaying projects and driving up costs. Businesses are feeling the pressure, and many are calling for immigration policies that balance security with economic stability. 4. Arizona. Arizona has long been known for its strict immigration laws, and now things are intensifying. The state has a 12% undocumented population, many of whom work in agriculture and service industries. Increased ICE operations are leading to record deportations, with over 77,000 immigrants removed between 2017 and 2019. Many of these were longtime residents, not criminals. Families are being torn apart, and the fear is driving workers underground. Arizona's economy is also suffering. The state is famous for crops like lettuce, cotton, and grapes, but with 100,000 migrant workers needed every year, deportations are creating serious labor shortages. Crops are going unharvested, businesses are losing revenue, and farmers are scrambling for solutions. 5. New York. New York has always been a hub for immigrants. 40% of NYC's population is foreign-born, and many undocumented workers have built their lives here. But even in this sanctuary city, ICE enforcement is increasing. Since 2018, NBC News reported that over 1,000 ICE arrests have taken place in New York, targeting not just criminals, but also longtime workers and families. The city's construction sector is feeling the heat, with 25% of workers being undocumented. The hospitality industry, another major employer of immigrants, is also struggling. New York City is pushing back, spending $200 million annually on legal aid for immigrants facing deportation. But with federal pressure mounting, the battle is far from over. If you're finding this information eye-opening, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. This is a conversation that affects millions of people, and we want to hear your thoughts. Should states resist these deportation policies or comply? Drop a comment below. And now, let's move on to the next 5 states facing this crackdown. 6. Nevada. When people think of Nevada, they picture Las Vegas, bright lights, casinos, and entertainment. But behind the glitz and glamour, thousands of immigrant workers keep the hospitality and service industries running. Nearly 18% of Nevada's population is foreign-born, with over 400,000 undocumented immigrants working in crucial sectors like hotels, restaurants, and construction. But deportation fears are driving many to leave their jobs or even the state. ICE raids have surged, and undocumented workers in Las Vegas are becoming more cautious. Some are avoiding work altogether, leading to a 20% drop in labor availability in hospitality and construction. The impact is clear. Nevada's $60 billion tourism industry depends on workers who are now at risk of deportation. If these labor shortages continue, the very economy that fuels the state could be in jeopardy. 7. Washington. Washington isn't just home to big tech giants like Amazon and Microsoft. It's also a key player in the agriculture industry, producing more apples, cherries, and wheat than almost any other state. But with nearly 400,000 undocumented immigrants living in Washington, mass deportations are causing ripple effects. Agriculture relies heavily on seasonal migrant workers, many of whom are undocumented. Deportations are making it harder to find workers, leading to fruit left rotting in the fields. Construction is also feeling the heat. A third of Washington's workforce in agriculture and construction consists of immigrants. With fewer workers showing up, projects are slowing and businesses are struggling to fill positions. Even the tech industry isn't immune. Many skilled immigrants working on work visas or without proper documentation are reconsidering their future in Washington, looking for more stable opportunities elsewhere. Number 8. Oregon. Oregon is known for its progressive policies, but even this state isn't escaping the impact of Trump's crackdown. US Facts recorded that roughly 1 in 8 Oregonians is an immigrant, and 10% of the workforce is undocumented. The agriculture sector, particularly in hazelnuts, berries, and wine production, relies on immigrant labor. 40% of Oregon's farm workers are undocumented, and with increased deportations, labor shortages are growing. Some vineyards are already seeing harvest delays, which could have long-term effects on Oregon's $5.6 billion wine industry. ICE raids in rural farming towns have left entire communities in fear. Many workers are afraid to drive to work since they lack licenses or legal documentation, further shrinking the labor pool. Without a stable workforce, Oregon's industries are facing an uncertain future. 9. North Carolina. North Carolina has a booming agriculture industry, with major crops like tobacco, sweet potatoes, and cotton. But here's the problem. Nearly half of all farm workers are undocumented immigrants. With 1 million undocumented residents, the state depends on immigrant labor. But as ICE operations ramp up, farms are losing workers at an alarming rate. Without laborers, crops go unharvested, causing financial losses for farmers and raising food prices for consumers. It's not just farming. North Carolina's construction industry is seeing the effects too. Cities like Charlotte, Raleigh, and Durham are growing fast. But who's building these new developments? Immigrants make up a huge portion of the workforce. A study found that removing undocumented workers from North Carolina's economy could result in a $2 billion loss in economic output. Businesses are worried, and industries are scrambling to find legal workers willing to take on these labor-intensive jobs. 10. Georgia. Georgia is famous for its peaches, poultry farms, and booming agriculture industry. But with nearly 10% of its population undocumented, the state is heavily reliant on immigrant labor. Farmers are already feeling the pinch. Over a third of Georgia's farm workers are undocumented, and many are afraid to show up for work due to ICE enforcement. Crops are being left unharvested, and poultry plants are struggling to keep up with demand. The construction industry in cities like Atlanta is also slowing down. Fewer workers means delayed projects, rising costs, and a shrinking labor pool. A 2019 economic report estimated that mass deportations could cost Georgia $1.6 billion annually in lost productivity. If enforcement continues at this pace, industries that rely on immigrant labor could see long-term damage. There you have it, 10 states feeling the full impact of Trump's mass deportations. Entire industries are struggling, local economies are suffering, and communities are living in fear. But the big question remains, what happens next? Will states push back and protect their immigrant populations, or will deportations continue at full speed, reshaping the American workforce as we know it? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you found this video informative, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. And don't go anywhere. Up next, we're diving into 10 countries where illegal immigrants in the US are coming from. You won't want to miss it. See you in the next video.